There's another reason, but I forgot it and I can't think of it right now. Alright, and now we're going to copy and paste. And remember, there's a whole bunch of questions and things we're missing, but it'll be explained in like the other parts of the tutorial. And once again, X, you could just ignore it. And we have created job history. And refresh. Job history. Okay, employee ID, start date, end date, job ID, department ID. And structure, browse is just general view, general view, general view. Structure is how it's actually structured. Structure is how it's actually structured. Structure is how it's actually structured. Alright. So, create or update job history. Job history. Oh. Everything in the parentheses. Employee ID, decimal, 6 spots. 6.0, and it can't be null. Employee ID, decimal 6.0, and you can't be empty. Employee has to have an ID, basically. Employee has to have an ID, employee has to have an ID, employee has to have an ID. Start date, not null. And start date, the format is the date format, and you can't be empty. We have to know when you started working here. End date, you can't be empty. End date is going to be in the date format, and you can't be empty. And check parentheses end date, blah 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 blah. And it's going to be like in the date format, hyphen hyphen slash hyphen hyphen slash hyphen 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 hyphen. And that's what this is in, like the background stuff we'll look at later, but just know that it's in this format. And job ID has to be limit to 10 characters, and it can't be empty. Job ID limit to 10 characters, and it can't be empty. Department ID decimal 4.0, and it can't be empty. Department ID decimal 4.0, and it can't be empty. Alright, and that's it for that problem. And yeah, we'll worry about this later when we advance to like that part in the tutorial. Okay, that's the end of that problem. Alright. And close. Write a SQL statement to create a table named countries, including columns, country ID, country name, and region ID, and make sure that no duplicate data against column country ID will be allowed at the time of insertion. Oh, I already did that. Blah 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 blah. Alright, create table of not exist countries, parentheses, country underscore ID, varchar 2, not null, comma space, country name, varchar, parentheses 40, not null, comma space, region ID, decimal, parentheses 10, comma 0, not null, comma space, unique, parentheses, country ID, semicolon, parentheses, semicolon. I don't know, it might be happening for you, it might not be, but when I'm reading through it fast, you might slowly be starting to like recognize it without the analogies, all the code and stuff. Eventually you gotta get to the point where you just look at it and you automatically like know what all this stuff means. Alright, so what this means is create the table if it doesn't exist, but if it does, just update it. And this particular table we're talking about is countries, and everything's in parentheses, and everything's going to be ended by the semicolon, blah blah blah, and. Alright, and country ID, the character limit's going to be 2, you can't be empty, comma space, next line. Country name, the character limit is going to be 40, and you can't be empty, comma space. The region ID is going to be in decimal format, it's going to allow 10 digits at first, and we don't want no change, not null, comma space, and we want a unique country ID. Alright, unique, parentheses, 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 country ID, country ID, country ID. We want a unique country ID. We want a unique country ID. We want a unique country ID. No duplicates, no duplicates, no duplicates. And I'll continue in the next video.